Good evening. Good evening. Well, for those of you who took the time to vote on the community post, from what I saw, or the last time I checked it, the all things esoteric was a subject that some people were interested in. So that's what I decided to do the live on tonight. So I'm going to wait a few moments, let people get an opportunity to get in here. I hope everybody had a great week. Hope everybody's doing well. I know me myself, I having this weird, like, I don't want to say illness, but it's like weird sickness or whatever going on. But overall, I'm okay. So, yeah, this is definitely a live that I feel like, you can get your popcorn. I got my popcorn. As you see, I tried to set the mood, make it a little more like mysterious, a little more cozy, so we can just kind of shoot the breeze and see what we come up with. But I did go ahead and do a little background research on what I specifically want to talk about, because I definitely think it's important to know the basics of anything before you just dive into certain topics and stuff like that. And I definitely am self-taught, so bear with me if there's some things that I don't, if you're more advanced than I am in talking about esoteric knowledge, please bear with me. I'm, like I said, self-taught pretty much, and or I learned a lot of what I know from other uh, teachers, like here on YouTube, like Dr. Delbert Blair. If any of you are familiar with Rashad Jamal, I know he's kind of a controversial teacher for whatever reason. However, it's kind of like, for me, it's that you don't shoot the messenger. He's just trying to deliver the message. Doesn't mean that the messenger themselves have to be perfect. And it's kind of like that whole, but did you get the message though? Like that's how I correlate that, me personally. Um, let's see, some other may not necessarily be esoteric to some, but I consider esoteric. So like Mr. Dane Calloway, his channel, he's a well-known historian who researches a lot of things pertaining to origins of Black Americans, African Americans, whatever this country identifies us as. Hi, welcome in. Welcome in. I haven't gotten started yet. I'm just shooting the breeze. So just trying to get introduced to the subject tonight. I definitely want it to be more open-ended. Feel free to chime in if you have any knowledge that you want to share pertaining to the topic. After I get done sharing my piece, please feel free to. Again, as long as everybody keeps everything respectful and keeps it about what we're talking about tonight. So I won't be talking about any GS stuff on my channel or going on. Like, I'm trying to continue to move past that, because we all know that's going to be there. People going to be people, etc., etc. So other than what I'm saying right now, I'm not touching on that. So if that's what you're here for, I'm sorry, this live ain't for you. So you can exit or you can stay. I mean, it's up to you. But I'm give us a few more moments, see who all comes in, who actually wanted to talk about this topic. I want to give those people a chance to jump in, because I didn't schedule it, because I wasn't sure if I was going to do it tonight or tomorrow night. But excuse me, I figured I'm more up to it tonight, so I'm just go ahead and dive right on in. But for those of you who are taking time out your evening to be in here with me, thank you. Because I'm pretty sure you could probably be doing anything else that's sitting here listening to me. So it means a lot to me. Appreciate it. Let's see. I think I will go ahead and get started now. To those of you who've joined in, we're going to be discussing all things esoteric in this live tonight. However, with a caveat, I wanted to begin with what is esoteric knowledge. I recognize that there may be some of you who are very familiar with esoteric knowledge and teachings and things like that, but there might also be others of you who don't know what the flip that is, and that's completely okay. Everyone got to start somewhere, so don't feel bad, don't feel left out. Ashley's going to get you up to snuff, so don't fret. So esoteric knowledge is basically describing secret knowledge. So things that is not generally known to the general populace community. And I actually I pulled up the actual literal definitions from the Webster's Dictionary. And it has several different, definitions, which I'm going to go ahead and read for you. So it says, designed for or understood by the specially initiated alone, requiring or exhibiting knowledge that is restricted to a small group, um, limited to a small circle, of special, rare, or unusual interests. So this is esoteric knowledge, and it's very important that you remember that there is a difference between esoteric and exoteric. I'm going to let you guys kind of simmer on that to see if any of you know what the difference is between eso and exoteric is before I get to it. If you know it, put it in the chat. And I'll definitely give you a holler if you got it. So now that we've gone over the definition of what esoteric knowledge is, I want to also go into the etymology. So etymology is the study of words, because as we know, or as some of you may not know, words have meaning. What you say matters. You can literally speak life or death over someone with just your words. I mean, you don't have to put a finger on them, and you could essentially somebody just with your words. That's why, the whole saying sticks and stones and may break my bones, but words never hurt me. That's not true. Words can definitely hurt, and are in this special, circle of people who know the esoteric knowledge, know that. They just hope you don't know that so that they can use it against you. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to slow down. So like I said, I want to go into the etymology of what esoteric means. And basically the roots, the lineage from that word, the root words, the root languages that it stems from. So when I go to etymologyonline.com and I put in esoteric, it brings up this definition. It says esoteric, secret, intended to be communicated only to the initiated, profound, 1650s, from Latinized form of Greek. Bear with me if I slaughter this. Esoterikos, belonging to an inner circle. From esotero, more within, comparative adverb to eso, meaning within. Let's see, it says classically applied to certain writings of Aristotle, of a scientific, as opposed to a popular character, later to doctrines of Pythagoras. In English, first Pythagorean doctrines. Ooh. A lot of tongue ties in there. So basically, esoteric breaks down to the root word eso, which means within. Okay. And again, it emphasizes that it is only meant for initiated individuals to ascertain this form of knowledge. So now I'm checking the chat to see if anyone was able to guess what exo esoteric meant, because we know eso means within, and it also is considered secret knowledge. So now that we're done with esoteric, we're going to move on to exoteric. All right. And I didn't see if anyone put anything in the chat as far as exoteric. So I'm going to just go ahead and get to the definition. So exoteric, when we go back to the Webster's dictionary, the definition comes up as such. It says suitable to be imparted to the public, belonging to the outer or less initiated circle, relating to the outside, external. So if you may have guessed that it's general knowledge that's pretty much given to everyone, then you got it correct. So exo, so when you think about it like this: exo, like an exoskeleton, meaning that it's something that is on the outside that holds something in, right? And when we're talking about exoteric knowledge, that is general knowledge of pretty much everything that anyone can have access to. So what you might go and look on Google, that's exoteric knowledge. That's stuff that anyone can look up, that anyone can know what is there if they just search for it, right? Whereas with esoteric knowledge, that's not something that you might just find putting in a Google search. You might have to search high and low, and again, there's some forms of esoteric knowledge that are so well hidden and or so well kept that you may not never be an individual that is able to gain access to that knowledge, because it's being gatekept, excuse me, by certain individuals, societies, secret societies, royal lineages. The list goes on to the whomever these gatekeepers are. Okay. And that can be even within like your own family lineage. There might be things within your own family lineage that wasn't passed down to maybe you per se, but it was knowledge that was imparted to, say, your great grandparents or your grandparents and your parents, but not to you for whatever odd reason, because families have their secrets. Everybody got skeletons in their closet, so to speak, and some people like to share that stuff, some people don't. Again, it doesn't always have to pertain to something evil, if you will. It could just simply be like it could be a cheat code to life. Many people don't know, like to wealth, to riches, to fame, and so on. Like it really just depends. So when it comes to exoteric knowledge, that is what is given to the general masses. So all of us regular folk, that's what we have access to. And I know that this knowledge that I'm talking about, whether it be exo or esoteric, can relate to, let me see what I got wrote down here. It can be relating to, wait a minute, I'm getting ahead of myself. Where'd I put it? Oh, excuse me. Okay, here we go. So some examples it can be relating to is the world around us, meaning just general things that we may come in contact with on a day-to-day basis that at first glance you may not think anything special about, but a lot of these things might have secret or hidden meanings. So think like the what's that movie? Oh gosh, with I can see the actor's face, but I can't think of his name right now. The Da Vinci Code. There we go, the Da Vinci Code. Think in terms of that. If you've ever seen it, that was a movie that was filled with esoteric knowledge. Like it was stuff that he had to hunt for, to find out, to break up, to break into a whole, like a even bigger web of knowledge that, again, most people would not know where to look or to find this knowledge. And some people don't even bother to seek it because they don't see the point. They don't see the value of knowing this knowledge. And unfortunately, that's what tends to hurt the general pop, us people, us regular folk, just carrying on, who don't have access to this knowledge inherently, unless you join these organizations that covet knowledge and things like that and hold it hostage, in my opinion. Because in my opinion, I feel that all knowledge, secret or non, should be given to everyone. And that's just me. I don't feel like knowledge is something that should be gate kept. That's my stance on that. Whether someone wants to know or not, that is their personal decision. But I believe that people should be at least presented with the option. And in this case, I feel like a lot of the times it's, like I said, kind of like that movie, The Da Vinci Code, where it may not be that this knowledge isn't being presented, but they want, like, whomever is gatekeeping wants people to seek it in order to prove themselves worthy of ascertaining said knowledge. Now, whether that's right or wrong, I really can't say, because I do understand that there is a necessity in certain cases to show yourself approved to, being a person that can handle whatever knowledge that you're imparted with, because some people, probably can't handle it, or wouldn't be able to handle some of the things that, they've been told, or um, things that they've been taught, to find out that, oh, that's not true, or, oh, that's not the whole truth. Some people just um, can't take big change, and I get that. So I'm not going to sit here and say that it's wrong to make people, like, to try people to see if they're worthy. I guess kind of like, what's another, like, perfect example, like I want to say the Sorcerer's Stone, or not the Sorcerer's Stone, the Sword in the Stone, like, where all of the people had to come and try to attempt to pull the sword out of the stone, but only, one individual ultimately had the capability, or ever so many generations, only one specific person had the ability to come and pull the sword out of the stone. And, then they get to do whatever, I don't even remember how that movie ended, or show ended, or whatnot. But I believe that, in general, that all knowledge should be imparted to everyone. Because I do also believe that at one point in time, everyone did have access to this knowledge, but somehow, some way, over the years, lost the connection to that, in my opinion. So hold on, let me stop, because like I said, this is gonna be I'm talking, you talking. So please, if you want to chime in at any time, pertaining to the topic tonight, because I really do want to see what you all feel and what you're thinking. So let's see. DJ says, I was in a much higher level of consciousness since I came out of nearly a month coma. My discernment is off the charts. Good analogy. I like a generational curse breaker with the sword and stone. No, awesome. And congrats to you, DJ, for making it out of your coma. Well, I want to say, it's like, I don't want to say, oh, I'm glad you're back, because it's like, I'm pretty sure you probably woke up and was like, man, this world is really just kind of taking a dive. But we're glad that you're with us. You're back with us. And yeah, discernment, I can chime in on that with you. Mine has been, it's been really crazy, like almost scary. If I didn't know what was going on, with me, I would be freaked out if I didn't have a better understanding of, esoteric knowledge, and at least the little bit that I do know, because of course I know I don't have access to, certain secret knowledges, and that's okay. Like, I'm okay. I'm doing just fine with what I do know. Honestly, I feel like I'm doing more than most probably would for what they know. And me coming here sharing it with you all is a prime example of that. I may not know it all, but I'm willing to share what I know, because I'm not a gatekeeper. Like, I don't believe in that, me personally. Excuse me. Okay, so DJ also shares, I see how demonic the spiritual realm truly is. Gaslighting narcissists everywhere. Yeah, I mean, there definitely has been a, what's the word, a thinning of the realms, if you will, the physical as well as the spiritual. I do feel as though more things are like intermingling. I feel also as though like pretty much since the um I know he's gone on now, but the Pope, after he opened those doors with the portal, or the, not the portals, people have suspected that there were portals or whatnot going where, I have no idea. But I just kind of feel like ever since he opened those doors, it's like, yeah, things haven't been feeling right. And again, that's for those who believe and all of that, because I recognize not everyone believes, that anything special or significant happened on those days. However, my question I would have to impart to those individuals, like, okay, well, if there's nothing special about it, then why did there need to be a whole, you know, uh, fanfare about it? Why is it something that had to be done publicly? You get what I'm saying? Like, why couldn't that have been something that was just done privately? Just between, the Pope and whomever the followers were there. Why did it have to be televised? You get what I'm saying? So it's like there's a lot of things that take place in our world that, again, those of us who aren't in the know, just will never understand, just because we don't have access to that esoteric knowledge that they do. And as we know, speaking of the Vatican, we know that the Vatican also holds a lot of, excuse me, books, scripts, artifacts, etc., that the general populace has never seen, never touched, never tasted, smelled, etc. And I can only imagine the things that the world would be able to learn if they had access to said knowledge. However, that is knowledge that they possess and they hold dear, and that they do indeed gatekeep. Whatever the reason, I have no idea, but I really do believe that all of this has meaning. Um, into mm, okay. So, DJ, I hear you, and I'm sorry that you're going through that. I definitely can relate. However, I stated at the beginning of the chat, I'm gonna on the topic that we're discussing tonight, not to make light of your experience, because I respect everyone's experience who's willing to share. However, I'm just trying to keep things a little more lighthearted for tonight with the esoteric. Well, I mean, I know esoteric is not lighthearted, but I'm just trying to keep it, low key. I'm not trying to do any theatrics, no, because I know I've been kind of having my moments myself. So I'm trying to reel things back in, get more control over myself and my situation. But I just wanted to say that. But no disrespect. You don't have to apologize. Like, everything's cool. No hard feelings. But I'm gonna get back to the esoteric. So we talked about esoteric, we talked about exoteric, all right? And I think I was describing the areas and where this type of knowledge can come up. We talked about the world around us. We just we just touched on religion because that was on my list. So speaking about the Vatican, not them per se, but that's just what came up. That's what flowed. So I'm just gonna roll with that. And then, of course, like secret societies, I know that that is a big thing that a lot of people tend to initially gravitate towards when it comes to esoteric knowledge. And like, I think in terms of like the older fraternities, like Knights of the Templar, Freemasonry, the Illuminati, and so many others. Like, I even in my own personal studies, I've learned that there's way more out there than just those that I've mentioned. And again, I don't feel like there's any spookism to them, because at the end of the day, these are just people. Like, these are just people like you and I. Yes, they may have access to certain knowledge and stuff like that, but again, at the end of the day, they can, just like I can, if you catch my drift. So it's like, there's nothing to fear there. No one should fear this knowledge, because it's just that, it's just knowledge. And knowledge, at the end of the day, just like anything in our life, is not good or bad. It just is what it is. It is, mankind or humankind that takes it and can pervert it to become either good or bad, etc., etc. But it exists regardless of that fact. And then, like geography. So geography may not be an area that most people would think about in terms of esoteric knowledge, but again, through my own personal studies, I have learned that there are certain, some would call conspiracies and stuff like that, about like the ice wall and the original maps of the world, the country, etc. Like, there's a lot of hidden knowledge surrounding these things that is not available to the general, public. And I'm sure they have their reasons for doing what they do, whether nefarious or not. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But this is yet another area, a general area that I feel like people don't typically probably think of right off the bat when they think esoteric knowledge. Um, I also mentioned spelling. So spelling, in and of itself, may not seem like it's something that's anything could be hidden about. However, I've learned from other teachers, like, that I've watched and that I've mentioned earlier, that spelling actually does have a esoteric caveat to it. A lot of people aren't aware that spelling in and of itself is what people would call like witchcraft or magic, etc. Because it kind of breaks down into the etymology, which we talked about in the beginning. Remember when I said that words have meaning and that what you say matters, because you can literally speak life or death over someone, something, a place, etc. And that's why it's important for us to watch our words, in terms of what we say to things, places, or about places, whatever, because we can kind of will those things into, or manifest those things into our existence, if we give it enough energy, power, if you will. And spelling basically breaks down to when you enunciate words and or syllables, and you're having to say those words, and break them down by syllables. It's basically to make sure that you are saying things, or incantations correctly, kind of like what, if you've ever watched like any like a horror film with witches and stuff like that, and they have to say spells a certain way, or with a certain cadence, or in a certain ritual in order for it to work. It's no different than that. However, I will give you an example of everyday, just modern spelling, which is witchcraft. For those who, oh, I don't believe in that. Well, you practice it. You may not be aware that you practice it, but you do. And a perfect example that was brought to my attention that I wasn't aware of was saying good morning. Okay. So, as we know, morning can, when you break it down and you look into the etymology of it, typically refers to death. Someone in mourning is someone who's grieving a deceased individual, correct? So when you say good morning, you're essentially saying like, oh, did you have a good grieving of that death? You get what I'm saying? and or I know specifically in terms of the Black community or African American community, however people want to identify themselves in that community. It was something that used to be said to slaves from their slave masters after um, uh, a relative or child, spouse, etc., had been basically taken or unalived, and the master would come in like, hey, did you have a good morning, knowing that that loved one had been up all night crying, sobbing, grieving the passing of that loved one for whatever reason. Again, I'm not going to go too deep into that because I know there's a lot of sensitive themes and topics in that, but that's just one example, which is why I stopped saying that phrase. I now resolve myself to saying grand rising, which is a more positive connotation. Um, and I know that there are so many other examples out there. I'm sure you all are probably can think of a few yourself that kind of, you know, um, more about than myself. Like I said, that's just one example that I know, and that's something that I practice. So it's kind of that whole, for me, it's like when you know better, you do better. And that's basically what I've tried to apply to my life. I know that there's many others out there, and sad to say, from the ones that I have researched, like I hate to admit it, but there's a lot of them that is tied to like slavery times. Like it's really crazy to me, because I wasn't aware there were so many just like innuendos and stuff like that that was tied to pain and suffering, basically. But it's been flipped to make it seem like it's a term of endearment when it's really not. Um, um, so I'm gonna check in with you guys. So Occult Examiner says, I feel that DJ, I think the world should petition the Vatican to publish the vaults onto the internet. Oh yeah, because I'm sorry. DJ said, oh, the Pope. Okay, the Pope. The answers are in the Vatican archives. And no, and I definitely believe that we probably would be able to answer a lot of things that are going on around us every day with just gaining access to this level of knowledge. But again, they gatekeep this knowledge. Maybe they think we can't handle it as a general populace. Maybe they think that we're not ready for the truth, if you will. And I will admit, I do feel that there are some people who are the type that like to just put their head in the sand like an ostrich and hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. But it's like, it's not evil, it's just knowledge. Even if there's a negative outcome, it still doesn't make it evil. It's just knowledge. What you do with it is what can make it evil or good, or etc., etc. Like that's how I view it, me personally. But good points, everyone. So back to examples, which I'm on my last one, which I did briefly also touch on, which was magic. I will be honest and I will be frank here. This is not an area that I am super familiar with, outside of like correlating it to alchemy, which is basically the practice of taking negative or just taking energy of anything opposite of what you want and turning it into what you want. So, or transmuting it into something positive. So, for example, with me, a lot of the negativity I've been experiencing in my life in terms of going on around me, I've been deciding to, in most cases, taking that negative energy and letting myself use it as fuel to do something positive, i.e., coming on my channel, trying to, like I said, continue to encourage you all, and continue to just show up and still try to be a positive force out there. Again, do I get it right every time, all the time? Absolutely not. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Y'all just literally saw me losing it last week. So again, that's one thing you will, if you're new to my channel or you're watching my live for the first time, you will learn about me that I'm very honest, not only with you all, but with myself. Like I don't have any bravado or facade to uphold, because I hold myself accountable first and foremost. I can admit when I'm wrong and when I've done wrong, just like I can admit when I'm right, and I'm, and I know what I'm saying, what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing is true. And unlike, others, I am not here to lead anyone astray. I just simply want people to know what I know, because I like to live by the notion that, when you give people options, you have to give them all options so that they can make the best decision in life for themselves. And that's how I like to be on my channel. I don't just come on here and give you one facet of me and be like, oh yeah, this is how I am all the time, when I know that that's not true. Like I said, there's some days I'm very productive. There's other days I'm not very productive. Like I am for sure gonna keep it real, gonna keep it honest, and that's just a part of life. Like every day is different, and I'd be doing you all a very big disservice if I wasn't being open and honest about that. Um, so okay. A code examiner says, yes, ma'am, only way to be. I try to surround myself with strong, outspoken women like myself who know how to think for themselves. Absolutely. And if I had that same, um, opportunity, I would do the same. I just, unfortunately, I've not really encountered a lot of individuals like myself in real time, or in real life, I should say, not in real time. Well, I mean, this is real life, but you get what I mean. Like in my everyday goings ons, of course, I've had individuals approach me, even, through the interwebs. But again, it's so tough because you just really don't know who people are. You don't know if they are who they claim they are. And you don't know if people have ulterior motives. So it makes it a little more scary to just want to jump into something. And I am definitely a firm believer in listening to my intuition. If I get just the slightest nudge, like, nah, this ain't the right person, place, or thing, I'm out. Like I just call me, because I'm gone. Like I'm not gonna stick around any space, any place where I just something don't resonate and don't sit right with me. Now, um, I I can definitely live amongst chaos and be completely okay. Because that's kind of how I feel about my situation now. Like I feel like everyone around me may be living in chaos, but I'm not. Like I have moments where I let myself get pulled into their chaos, but I immediately revert right back to default, which is this, because this is who I am majority of the time. I am able to stay within my own peace, within my own space. I don't have to, be out here attention seeking and all that. Like I don't do anything I do for clout. I don't care about none of that. All I care about is the truth. That's what I care about. Like if they were like, Ashley, would you want a billion, followers, or do you want to have access to the Vatican? No hands barred, baby. I'm going to the Vatican. Like I'm telling you right now, I'll be in there for the rest of my days, reading my eyes out, just trying to see what I can find out and make sense of the world around me and why things are the way they are, because that's how I've always been. I've always tried to make sense of, things going on with myself, with others in the world, why it is the way it is. Like that's me, like to my core. And that would be me being my most authentic self. I just keeping it a buck with y'all. I am not lying about that when I tell you that. Like my husband would be able to confirm that. And I might, And let me just say this. I mention my husband a lot because my husband is also my best friend. So instead of just say, oh, my best friend, I just say my husband because he is my best friend. And he would be able to tell you, like, yeah, she's a nerd. She be in there just reading. I'd be so content too. But yeah, I get it. You gotta vet folks. But oh wait, hold on. Let's see. A code examiner. You said, who know how to thank for themselves. Oh, I read that part. So I tend to piss the rest off. LOL. So it just works out. Yeah. It's kind of easy to do that when you're being yourself. You tend to trigger people no matter where you go. I know that well. I know that feeling well. But yeah, so I think as far as this first esoteric hangout, I think we did a really good job staying on topic. Thank you, everybody, for bearing with me. Also, I hope that I presented everything in a way that was easy to understand and see. Like, that's another prime example with me saying understand instead of understand. It was brought to my attention that when we say understand, that puts us under whatever it is that is being presented to us, as to be in subjection to, opposed to saying understand when you mean you understand, you overstand, meaning that you're above it. Nothing, you're not a below anything, you're over these things because they don't have power over you. And that's basically what that's supposed to mean. So for those of you who didn't get why I say understand instead of understand, that's why. And again, it just plays into that our words have power, and it has meaning. And so it is important that we carefully choose what we say and how we say it, especially when we're talking about ourselves. I actually challenged myself, what was it, all of 2024, to not have any negative self-talk towards myself. And it was hard because that was something that I used to do often. I used to be very negative to myself. That's why, like, when other people say things about me, it really wouldn't phase me. It was always me going home beating up on myself verbally, like, oh, you dumb, you should have did this, or you did, I used to be so nasty to myself. And when I challenged myself to that year, I learned a lot about myself. And I learned that sometimes our biggest critic, our biggest bully can be ourselves. And that's why it's so important to watch what you say to yourself. I used to tell myself, oh, you're not good at nothing. You're not, what's the word? You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. No one likes you. No one, I used to like really go in on myself when I didn't value my self-worth, because like so many of us in this society, we tie our self-worth to the things that we can do, not only for others, but just for society. And it took me a while to deconstruct that out of my mind and out of my mindset. And that's why I'm able to live the way that I do now, with the mindset that I have, that, hey, regardless of what happens, I'm going to be okay. Like, I don't care if I have $0 in the bank. In my mind, I'm rich. Like, I have everything that I could have ever asked for. And, money, yes, it is important for this society, but in general, as it stands for just happiness, I don't need it to be happy. Of course, it can buy you things, it can afford you certain lifestyles. However, at the end of the day, when all that stuff is gone, you typically only have yourself. And if you don't love yourself, then it's like, are you really happy? Like, you could, we see it all the time with so many, celebrities and millionaires, billionaires dying old and alone, or, depressed. And it's like, well, why are they depressed? They have everything. clearly they don't. If, you know, if they're willing to, you know, not be here anymore, even despite having it all, you know. And that's why I'm like, for me, the financial, I feel like that'll come. Like, that's why, like, with everything that I've been doing, like just on my channel alone, like adding the memberships and stuff, I have had to force myself to do that, guys. Like, it's like, that's how much, like, I don't really like, it's like, I know it's important. And this is something I've struggled with my whole life. If I'm being completely honest, and I know I'm kind of getting off topic, and I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna hush up and close out, but I have struggled with this my whole life, with wanting to like value money the same way and look at money the same way that other people do. But I don't have an inherent love for it. I recognize the part that it plays in our society. However, it doesn't click for me. Like, I know it buys me things and all of that jazz, but it's not everything to me, and it never has been, and it never will be. Like, it's something that I have to like force myself to want. That's why, like, when you've been hearing me talk more like, oh, I got to get into my bag, like, that's me essentially trying to hype myself up in the mirror, like, to get out here and get it. Because it's like, I don't know, I don't, it's not super pertinent to me. And I know, you know, that might sound weird, but I'm just, again, this is just me being candid. This is me being open and just being completely honest. But yeah, it's what we say to ourselves, it matters. And that's why, like, even with finances, I've had to like teach myself and retrain myself that no, like, I may not necessarily desire it, but we need it to pay bills and feed our family. And, you know, so it has its place, but it doesn't mean that it has to be in the number one spot, you know. And that's okay. Because I don't desire to be rich. I don't desire to be a billionaire or whatever, but I do recognize, by even saying stuff like that, if that was in my destiny to have those things, I could be limiting myself. Or, as my father used to tell me, he's like, don't cut your blessings short. So I'm like, I could be essentially cutting my blessings short because I'm speaking those things, instead of saying, you know, it may not be what I desire for myself, but if that is what is meant for me, I am open to it. You know, you see the difference in saying that, opposed to, well, I don't want to be rich. I don't want, no, I want whatever wants me. I want whatever I'm supposed to have. And I just leave it at that. So that's why, like, you know, like I said, back to adding my, you know, channel memberships and all of that, and my, like, my pay, all that, that is me taking a chance on, and not, and being open to receive. I have never been the type to beg anyone for anything. So it's like, you know, and even in this moment, I'm not putting that in there as a shameless plug or not. I'm just, again, being candid. I'm being open in this moment, and helping you all to realize that my mindset is just, it's bigger than a lot of this stuff. And I recognize that, you know, some people are just like, hey, well, shoot, she don't want to send it my way, you know. And trust me, the type of person that I am, if I got it, everybody gonna have it. Like, cause that's just how I am. Like, I like to let it roll right back out, because I know that it's gonna come back. Money is liquid. Money is transient. It goes and it comes. The more we try to hold on to it, the more it goes away. Like, that's just life, if I'm being completely honest. But let me get off money talk, because this ain't even that type of live. But thank y'all for letting me share that. Um, let me see. I'm just trying to check out any closing comments, anything else anyone wanted to say before we wrap up, because I know I can dominate a conversation. So trying to get better with that. Let's see. Oh, so a code examiner says I only hear self-affirming thoughts now. No, and that's awesome, because I know for some of us, like myself, like, I've been through a lot of traumatic experiences. So it took me a long time to realize that a lot of the voices, not real voices, but a lot of the just the self-doubt and all that stuff wasn't even my voice. It was, things that people would have said to me over the years and just, permeated into my subconscious, and manifested as my voice speaking, but it wasn't how I truly felt about myself. It's how I had been pretty much conditioned how to feel about myself. So, and it's very important to get those other people's, you know, thoughts, expectations and feelings about you out of your head, because they have no place there in the first place. I don't care who they are, because I know some people, oh, it was my mom, my dad. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they got to live their life how they wanted to. You get to now live yours. You get to make your own mistakes, just like they got to make their own. So it's like it's not anyone's place to try to tell you, um, how to live or how to be or how to feel about yourself, in my opinion. But yeah, so that was our first all things esoteric. Hopefully, it won't be the last. I really enjoyed having this hangout tonight. And if you all did, please like give me a like, thumbs up, something, so I know that you all resonated with it. Because I'm hoping to have more of them. Like I really enjoy doing this because it taps into, several sides of myself, the little researcher side of myself, and then, of course, coming on here and sharing that knowledge, because normally this is knowledge that I would just, have floating around up here, but now I have an outlet and I have a place where like-minded individuals can come and share these things, and we can kind of, reverberate knowledge with each other. And that makes my heart happy. Like I love being able to share stuff like this with people, who genuinely have an interest in it. Um, but oh, hey, Warrior Lifetimes. No, I know you came in late, but it's okay. You're not late. You right on time. Somewhere you right on time. Don't worry about it. But we're just getting ready to wrap up here. I just wanted to thank everybody again for coming in. Um, and definitely, I will say, everyone keep your eyes on the community post. I want to, start utilizing that more to engage you all to figure out like certain topics and things that we want to talk about, because I feel like with the growth of the channel right now, excuse me, I feel like with the growth of the channel right now, or at least the direction I'm wanting to take it, I definitely want to know how I can be more of service to you all. And I know I've said that before and I've not really gotten much feedback, but I seriously mean it. Like I am earnestly wanting to know what you all want to see from me, what you want to, what we want to talk about, like let's be open to, about each other a little more. Um, a co-examiner says, I have my notification on, girl. Have also shared out the channel. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for turning on your notifications. Appreciate that so much. And yeah, please, if any of you all have channels and stuff like that, please share that. Like I definitely check, the subscribers who do share, I check on that. So let me know, because I'm always looking for, other people that I can learn from. And shoot, that can even be one of you all. Like I definitely am open to, bouncing ideas and stuff like that off of each other. And, and wherever I can support, I want to support. But I'm going to go ahead and get ready to sign off here. I hope, I hope our next meeting, which I do have several projects. I do have several projects I'm working on all at once. That's just me, pure chaos, trying to do more than one thing at one time, but I can handle it, like, until I can't. But for now, I'm handling it. And I definitely, I'm just like, I'm super excited. There's so much stuff coming, going on. I can't wait to share it with you all, but I'm gonna hold my mule right now. I'm gonna hold my mule right now because I don't wanna blow it. But just know there's a lot of good stuff coming and I'm working on it. And thank y'all for rocking with me this far. But I'm going to sign off. And until next time, see ya.